it gives me time to do this. It gives me time to do that. It gives me time to do this. And then I can reset and go. But if I go 12 reps a minute, there's no time. I have to move, I have to be prepared. So as soon as I'm here, right? So it forces you to get into position, you reset. This is like, I think, get to 0 as fast as possible. You know, 0 is here.
Okay.
You know, for most of us, it's actually probably 1 or 2. But, you know, this is my 0 is right here. Anything outside of this is extra effort, is wasted energy, and it's more of like, it's like a crutch. Like if you bounce when you catch out of your drop, that's a crutch.
It's a wasted energy leak.
This is where you want to be. And you don't need to bounce. You don't need to come off your body when you do your first dip. You need to stay connected. The only reason we come off our body is because we don't want to stay on our body, right? It feels better to do it this way. It doesn't feel right, you know what I mean? So it's all about just being as efficient and efficacious as possible, right? When you're here, when I bump, my elbows are connected to my body. When I dip, my elbows are connected to my body. So as I'm coming up, my elbows stay connected the entire time. Okay. So if you would notice no difference from here to here, ideally. So, but a lot of guys, what happens is when they do their first dip,
it comes right off.
And then when they start to come back up, the bells are going down, and then they're hitting, and then they're going down. So when it's 16, not as noticeable. When it's 20, not as noticeable. When it's 24, it's noticeable. And up, right? So it's just about stay connected the whole way.
And I've even noticed with like the 32s, it's so hard to come back down and not just drop them right down. I mean, you want to be quick, but you don't want to let them slide onto.
And then that'll go kind of back to the cleans. Is you go, okay, you know, I talked about the shirt, right?
Yeah.
So when you do your drop, whether it's jerk, like if it's jerk, or if it's long cycle into a clean, you know, you want to, everything, you want it to be very precise, is basically it. So if you drop here, what's stopping the bells?
Absolutely not.
Right? Nothing. Right? You stop them. But if you do them here, they're gonna catch the shirt, you know, the moisture on the shirt. They're gonna slide into place. Whether you get your elbows on your iliac crest or not, I mean, of course that's the ideal, but whether you do or not is not as important as you getting here. Because then when you hit this, your elbows slide and then they press in. Under 32s, it's easy. They just push in there because it's 140 pounds, right? But you hit and it slides in and it sets. But if you're catching them here, or if you're lifting off here, again, you've got nothing under there to go up. So you have to load here to stabilize that joint for you to push them up.
You're also off axis.
And then you're off axis. So now when you're doing your lift, where's your shoulder? You're internally rotated. So what are you doing when you're doing this? You know, you're impinging more than you should be.
And you have more distance to travel.
Now all of a sudden, you're really putting yourself in issue, right? If you're fast and you're not tired, then it's fine. But at those last ones, then, you know, now injury risk goes up as well as performance goes down. So, you know, that's where, like, that's been my biggest change. I used to be so focused on 6 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever it was. But I started to kind of pull away from that, and it's like, I'll do 10 to 12 minutes of jerks in a 16-minute time. You know, 2-minute breaks in the middle. It's all above competition pace. Various weights, so it's like 32, 28, 24, 24, things like that. So it's all very fast. 2 minutes rest is usually what I do, but like 1 to 2 minutes. Enough break to let the brain settle down and get back under them, but not enough that you're going, I'm rested. So it's good that way. That's what I find.
0 for me in the bump is that quick down, up, drive the weights, and then standing up in that position. That's 0 for me. And every time, all the time spent in between 0 is like drawing excess energy, you know? So, you know, if you think of it like that way, yeah, it's a good quality clean, get the bells into position, and then you're set. And then when you're ready to do your bump, you just drop straight down and boom, bump it up. But the elbows, you know, it's all about that maintaining that positioning through each portion of the movement. And as soon as you start blurring away from that position, that setup or that 0, you're just ripping away from yourself. So that's why it's finding that, okay, in a fatigue state, still being there, not letting yourself get away with, you know. And that would be my biggest thing that from the weekend was, and where I know I have the biggest, I'll make the biggest ground is just being kind of mentally tough enough to not allow myself out of what I call 0 for me, you know. So getting away from that sort of off center rack, getting away from, you know, doing the side racking. And
I don't think I've ever seen you do a side rack until Vancouver. I don't think I've ever seen you do it.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But, you know, it's just one of those things, right? And that's where I know, like, for me personally, that's where I need to have that work, and that's volume. And you can't get volume without volume.